Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. I want to start out this podcast by saying thank you. First, just a broad thank you. Thank you to all of you that just watch. That's so super cool. And I'm glad that we get to spend this time together every Monday, assuming you're watching it on Monday. If you want more of this sort of stuff, I do now have a podcast on LeanBodyMind that happens every Thursday. So you can get me twice a week if you want. I may pimp that channel yet again during the course of this podcast. But I also want to thank those of you who tuned in last week, especially those that left such positive comments. I went on a bit of a, I don't know if I'd call it a rant or what I would call it last week, more of a plea, I think, for just better behavior in the comments. Not just my comments and not just YouTube comments, but just everywhere. It's gotten to the point that there's almost no place you can go, especially if you read comments, where there isn't just this overwhelming toxicity. And I think you can place the blame for that on all manner of different things, but ultimately it's up to all of us to own our own behavior. And that's really kind of what I was saying last week. And as I said, there was this tremendous outpouring of support and obviously people that agree that just a lot of the rhetoric really needs to be dialed back, ideally everywhere. But for me, and I hope for you, you see Serious Keto and LeanBodyMind as a place you can go as an escape from all that. So thank you, all of you that had the kind words to say about that. So that sort of segues into the next topic, which is both, I don't know if I'd call it comment management or subscriber interaction or what I would describe it as, but I routinely will get people saying, well, why don't you also go on this platform or that platform, this social media thing? Why don't you do something on Twitter or, I don't even know all the different things, Pinterest, TikTok, whatever. Why don't you put your podcast on iTunes or, you name the podcast sort of location? And the reason for that is I don't have the bandwidth to interact across that many different formats. I don't have the bandwidth to do the administrative task of just putting it out there. But above and beyond that, every additional social media site or service that I'm on, I think there's this expectation, at least I have the expectation, that I will interact with you, my viewers. And it's too hard. It's kind of too hard right now. It was not that difficult when I had 10,000 subscribers, but when you're at 150,000 plus, lots of times I miss comments. I'm either going through it on my phone or on my PC or some combination of the two, and I'll go back and I'll scroll through and I'll be like, oh, I missed that one. I feel bad. I think also YouTube does not make comment management easy. For a period last week on my phone, anything that I put a heart on or commented on then disappeared off my phone under comments. I could still see them on my PC, but not on my phone anymore. And sometimes what I'll do is I will give someone a heart to acknowledge, yeah, I saw your comment, I liked it, thank you, that's my little thank you to you. But then when I have a little more time, I may come back and decide that, oh, this really deserves a reply. So I'm going to give it a full-out reply. But I couldn't see those on my phone anymore. So that's one thing that YouTube does that kind of makes things a little bit more difficult. Another thing is just their apparent, what do I call it? I don't want to call it censorship. Some of you may want to call it censorship, but overzealous comment control, we'll call it that, where I will see a comment, I will see it in my notifications, and it's completely benign, and I'll go in to respond to it, and it's gone. Or there'll be someone that includes a link or something like that. Again, it could be something completely benign. It's not like off to some porn site or something like that. It could just be a link to Amazon, for example, and a given product saying, Steve, have you tried this? What do you think of this? And YouTube will get rid of that. It seems like YouTube is okay if your link is another YouTube channel, but aside from that, they seem to not like any sort of external links. So that's the YouTube aspect of it. The other aspect of it is I've got a presence on, not a big presence, but a bit of a presence on Instagram, Facebook, I've got the contact form on my website, which is supposed to be for business contacts only, but people just use it for everything. People that know my Gmail address. And then of course there's the YouTube comments, but I do my best. And the reason I'm explaining all of this to you is I'm not complaining. I'm not saying, oh, woe is me, it's so hard being a YouTube content creator and staying interactive with my subscribers. I'm telling you because if you don't get a response from me on something, don't think it's because I'm a jerk or something like that. Well, maybe I am. Maybe I am in some instances. Maybe you said something that really irritated me and I didn't respond. But for the most part, if it happens, it's just, I missed it. I'm human. It happens. So when you're thinking about asking me, like, why don't you join this Facebook group? Or why don't you do this or that? Or go to another video platform besides YouTube? That's the reason. It's just, I'm doing the best I can with the hand that's been dealt me. So one of the topics I promised last week was keto in the news. There was an article that showed up in my Google News feed every day from different sources. So first it was like a local Fox 8 affiliate, I don't know where. Then it showed up on a CBS affiliate, then an ABC one, NBC, WGN, different magazines, and different health websites. I mean, it was everywhere. Whoever put this article together really shotgunned it out there. And likely if you watch any of the keto doctors on YouTube, I bet they've already addressed it. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail on it, but I will read a little bit of it for you. The article title is Keto Diet, a Recipe for Bad Health, Study Warns. So wildly advertised as a safe way to shed pounds, going keto actually presents serious health risks to pregnant women, people with kidney disease, and almost everyone else, according to a sweeping review of research into the trendy menu modifier. If it's everyone else, why do we need the first few categories? Anyhow, there's a review published in the journals of Frontiers in Nutrition talking about the long-term risks of a high-fat, low-carb diet. These include cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and Alzheimer's. Lee Crosby says, the typical keto diet is a disease-promoting disaster. Loading up on red meat, processed meat, and saturated fat, and restricting carbohydrate-rich vegetables, fruits, legumes, and whole grains is a recipe for bad health. Sounds like an Ansel Keys fan, would be my guess. So as we talk about some of these potential issues with a low-carb, high-fat diet, first, cancer. Most of what I've read is that cancer feeds on sugar, and when we're depriving cancer of sugar, that's a good thing. I've also read about the cognitive impact in terms of preventing Alzheimer's. But this is the funniest one to me, that going low carb can cause diabetes. Anyhow, this is not an unusual article, in my opinion, because this is sort of the attack pattern and misinformation that's put out about keto so very often. You know, the notion that we don't eat vegetables, for example. I eat more vegetables since I started keto than I ever did pre-keto. What I don't eat is sugar. What I don't eat is grains. So I think, first off, there's a big misunderstanding. Oh yeah, another thing the article talked about. The high protein in a ketogenic diet is a recipe for kidney disease. It's not a high protein diet. So if I were to compare my diet in keto versus what it was pre-keto, what I would say is fat content, probably not all that different, honestly. I think protein, probably similar, maybe a little bit less. And then carbohydrates, I think really it's just a matter of getting rid of those things I talked about earlier, the sugars and the grains and things made from that sort of stuff. Beer was a big one. Where I think a misunderstanding or misconception of keto is that it's high fat as a percentage of your total calories. It's not necessarily high fat versus what everyone else on the standard American diet is eating. It's just once you remove all this garbage, this sugar and grain and stuff like that, then that proportion of fat seems higher. Anyhow, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir. All of you know this, and I think you could also get out on any one of these keto doctor YouTube channels, and they would be far more articulate at explaining the whys and hows of all of this. So I'm not so much bothered by what I feel is a lot of misinformation in this article as I am by the reach of this article. The fact that it propagated so rapidly and so widely, that's what concerns me. I think the biggest threat to keto is, big food, big pharma. These are powerful, powerful industries. And I think if big food decides to get on board the keto wagon, which would be easy for them, it's a money-making machine. I mean, look at how much keto products cost. So big food, come on board. Let's not fight, let's be buds. You can join us. Join us. The healthcare industry, that's going to probably continue to be a threat to keto, because keto is a threat to the healthcare industry based on how they are compensated currently. Unless we as a country or as a planet change the way that healthcare providers are compensated, then it's going to continue to be prescriptions and surgeries and that sort of stuff, because treatment is where the money is at. So I'm not even going to include a link to this article. It'll be pretty easy. If you want to Google it, just, Google whatever title I said before. It's keto is a healthcare disaster or something like that. But I would encourage you not to, because I don't want to see any site that runs this article get even a penny of ad revenue as a result of it. And that's all I have to say on that topic. This is going to be a shorter podcast, so I've just got two more little topics left. First off is about Connor and Courtney. They both appeared in a recent video together doing a taste test on chaffles. It was the caramel cashew chaffle. I'll link to it up here if you didn't see it already. One of the comments was, boy, why does Connor just always look so serious? Well, he looks serious because I pulled him off the Xbox to come do a review. If you saw him playing with Colton, just day in and day out, you'd realize just what a fun-loving goofball he is. So don't judge him based on that review. The other question I got was, are Connor and Courtney twins? They look so much alike. Well, they are what you call Irish twins, because they are 11 months apart. So we have a period in late July through mid-August where they're both the same age. And I think Courtney kind of gets a kick out of that. I'm the same age as you. But next week, Connor turns 21. And then they'll spend 11 months not the same age. But that answers that question. And I'll end this podcast with one final little plug for LeanBodyMind, my other YouTube channel, which I'll link to down below. The plan on that, I'm starting to get rolling on that, is there will be Tuesday and Thursday releases. Tuesday is generally going to be something as it relates to life hacks, personal productivity, a product review that doesn't fall into the keto realm. It could be a supplement, it could be a kitchen device, it could be anything that advertises that it's going to make your life better. It could be a little education on some of the continuous improvement methodologies and how you can apply them to your own life. And then Thursdays will be the Lean Body Mind podcast. So similar to the Not So Serious Keto podcast, but not keto. So if you're interested in any of that sort of stuff, click the link down in the description. Come on over. I'm doing some giveaways too. Last week I gave away an autographed copy, autographed by Elton Brown, of his book, I'm Just Here for the Food. And I've got a few more autographed cookbooks that I'll be giving away as I hit various milestones on that channel, as well as, who knows what else. But check out the channel. That's so now I've pimped it and I've attempted to bribe you. I don't know what else I can do, aside from saying, thanks for watching or listening.